so happy we alive.
Good evening, and welcome to Louisville Late Night. This evening we're in beautiful San Francisco, California.
They did not succeed, but they sure did with Molly Fry and her husband. And now that bitch of a prosecutor in the Eastern District in California is really sticking it to them. In addition to the home invasion takeover technique, they apply a new technique in the Kafkaesque world of this post-constitutional government. Forbid them from having the right kind of medication. Oblige them to take poisonous medication that diminishes their ability to defend themselves properly. You don't read anything about that. You don't know anything about what's going on in the pre-sentencing office. But bad things. Duke Schmidt from Genesis was subjected to having Marinol taken away from him and forced to take Effexor, which caused him serious problems mentally and caused him serious side effects with the heart problems that it caused. But they prevented him from mounting a defense, and he languishes in prison now. How many other vicious scumbag, unconstitutional persecutors are at work? We need to go after this corrupt snake that rots from the head on down. The latest evidence is of course, the FDA showing us what is meant by memory hole. I don't know how many people have read 1984, but this describes what Winston Smith was up to in his job of rewriting history. And this is what these assholes, prevaricators, and criminals under color of authority continue to do. Well, I appreciate your suffering my bile, so to speak, but it's not backing up on me anymore. I'm thankful to say, and please direct it properly. And don't take apart us physicians and question whether or not we crossed every T or dotted every I. Look at the assholes and perpetrators that are persecuting us and why they're doing it under what authority. And don't let the media just get away with sweeping it under the rug. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. And in 2003, the Journal of the California Cannabis Physicians O'Shaughnessy's. There's a table out there of the O'Shaughnessy's. Please sign up. You're welcome, Todd. Now I'd like to introduce Kris Hermes. Kris Hermes works with ASA, Americans for Safe Access. Excuse me. URSA is the bear. ASA is Americans for Safe Access. He brings nearly 20 years of social justice activism experience to the fight for safe access to medical marijuana. He has worked in various cities around the U.S. generating media and mobilizing people to effect change in federal and state policy on issues involving hunger, poverty, and access to health care. Over the last few years, before joining ASA, he dedicated much of his time to legal activism, helping support those arrested during mass demonstrations and acts of civil disobedience. As ASA's legal campaign director, Kris and the legal staff have led the organization in numerous victories that have provided greater protection for thousands of patients. Kris Hermes.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to speak here today. Just to get an idea of who I am speaking with, can I get a show of hands of how many patients there are in the crowd? Look at yourselves, that's great. And how many people are from California? Nice majority, good, okay, I want to know who I'm talking to. So I think the reason I was brought here is to convey some of the challenges that are facing patients. And I'll speak broadly about patients across the country, but a lot of it has to do with what's going on here in California. And as many of you, I'm sure, understand that California is a very different state than the rest of the country. And we, I mean, we're hearing some pretty devastating stories here, and I'm going to continue in that vein. But I just want to have us breathe in what we're dealing with in California. We have come nearly 10 years and have rights that not many other people around the country have when it comes to medical marijuana. So I think we can, to some extent, embrace that, pat ourselves on the back or whatever we want to do, but we have it significantly better than a lot of people throughout the rest of the country. And hopefully California can be a model for the rest of the nation. Let's make sure it goes in that direction. So essentially I have two major challenges. Since early 2004, ASA has been collecting data on patient harassment and how states are implementing their laws that they've put in place for this issue. We've seen some amazing things. We did this to be able to track trends and know how to respond to the challenges facing patients, quite frankly. We've taken in thousands and thousands of calls. We get dozens of calls a week, as surprising as that may seem, from patients that have had law enforcement encounters or in some other way have been harassed by the system. We've logged over 700 of those calls so that we can be able to use that data in an effective way. And I'll explain a couple of things that we've done by using that data. The public, I just want to clarify between some challenges within the realm of law enforcement. There's obviously state and local law enforcement, and then there's federal law enforcement. And what we've heard so far today has been focused mainly on the reaction by federal law enforcement. And as severe as that is and extreme, because I'm sure many of you know that if you're arrested and prosecuted under federal law, you don't have the same ability to put on a defense. In fact, you have almost zero ability to put on a defense in federal court. As severe as that is, the vast majority of confrontations on a daily basis have to do with local and state law enforcement. And so I'd like to focus on that, and maybe towards the end I'll raise what we see as hopefully the road to success in the arena of federal law. But out of the hundreds of reports that we've received over the last couple of years, nearly all have resulted in seizure of patients' medicine. Of those, about 70% of them will result in a citation or arrest. So that leaves a lot of people with having their medicine taken with not much that they can do about it unless they want to throw themselves into the court system and try and get retribution. We'll help those people. ASA is here to help patients get their medicine back. So we created a return of property campaign in which we support patients filing motions in state court to get their medicine back. And that, while it's had mixed results, has been fairly successful. And we're continuing. It's an ongoing campaign. A few other areas that I want to mention that patients are being harassed is in the area of housing, employment, and sadly, child custody. And I'm not going to be able to go into too much detail. I'm already getting the 2-minute warning. I just want to let people know that those problems are out there and we're focusing on them, but they're very difficult to address. Going off of what somebody said earlier, let's sue the bastards. I think that's, to a large extent, the approach ASA has taken. We filed a suit in 2004 on behalf of James Blair, who is a patient who had been arrested, had his medicine taken, 30 plants. He was growing them in his home, and he recently got a settlement agreement with our help of $15,000. So thanks. Seems like a small amount of money given the hassle that he had to go through and humiliation, quite frankly.